Welcome back to another episode of the Bible Gap. We made it through Holy Week to Resurrection Sunday, and Dawn came to church, as you can see in the background.
It's actually insane that I'm here.
She's got her church, the Sunday best fit going on. Looks good.
Easter colors, you know.
And she took a lot of notes, and she's going to share them with us. So once we get back to the house, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you there.
Okay, so we made it home from church, and again, it's Easter Sunday. We finally made it through all of Holy Week. Before we were talking about every day something that happened, and we didn't do Good Friday or yesterday, but yesterday wasn't really anything.
Yeah.
But Friday, just briefly before we go into the big event, which is
Yeah.
Dawn's experience going to church today. So he was crucified, as we know. Crucifixion was, a common form of punishment from the
Mhm.
Romans back then. It was, I don't know if whoever's seen the movie Passion of the Christ. I know you did probably a couple times.
Yeah, a few times. I mean, they say that that's probably like one of the more accurate depictions of what most likely was to have actually happened
Hmm.
to him. I'm not even a hater. I think the movie itself is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there are tons of movies I've seen that I'm like, not necessarily for me, but I can see why it's a good movie all on its own. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh yeah, no, this movie sucks just because it's a Christian movie.
Not to spiral in a new direction, but as you know, Christian shows and Christian movies are just.
We should do an episode on what we watched as we were growing up because I don't know if you know this, but the Gaithers
Yeah,
turned out to be a cult.
Oh, well, I mean, if anyone watched Gaither's Pond, you could have probably expected
Yes.
that.
Well, let's also not forget that the impact that VeggieTales had because everyone was watching that, not
Yeah.
just Christians. I have people that I know and am friends with today in my communities who are like, yeah, I know what that is. We
Mhm.
were everyone was watching it. No one even knew that it was like, well, I mean, if you knew, you knew, but like if you're just like someone, like some random kid watching, you're just like, oh, this is so funny, you're talking vegetables.
Yeah,
You weren't just like, oh, this is about God.
they had banger, silly songs.
Hey, look, I'm not even a hater. There are some ones that I'm like, this is good.
I think your
This is
favorite
good.
was the cheeseburger one, right?
Yeah, you know why? Because it's relatable.
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
it's a relatable song.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So
But yes, going back to the Passion of the Christ. Yeah, it was a good movie, and we're expecting the resurrection for the past however many years, saying that it was going to come out. Apparently, it's coming out next year. We'll see about that. I don't know if I believe it, but we'll see. And but yeah, my teacher for church history loves that scene of the crucifixion, and he just points out like, no, inaccurate. They wouldn't have done it like that. The tool that they used to whip him, that would have killed him. Like
Yeah.
that's the wrong tool.
yeah,
Just going over
the
how
Passion of the Christ really
It's-
went like extra on
Yeah,
the torture. Like they were just like really like, oh yeah, no, there's no way any normal human could have survived this, but he
Mm.
did. And I was like, okay, like I'm not denying the fact that crucifixion was a brutal and messed up way, but like Passion of the Christ definitely was like not just inaccurate, but like overboard with some of the stuff that they did. I'm not saying that
Mm.
like, well, at the end of the day, no one knows. I mean, there's that too. I mean, you could say whatever you want, really.
Well, I don't know about that. I think you can look back at history and see how they typically crucified people. And I would I don't know. Obviously I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it was like the most brutal, most humiliating form of punishment Romans were expert
Oh.
executioners.
Romans, they were a messed up
that stuff
society.
was-
They did some messed up stuff.
Because the point of crucifixion is not just to execute somebody, it was to make a statement like,
Yeah.
if you do this, this is where you're going to be. So they brutally beat people, they tortured them. The Bible actually doesn't really describe how horrible it is, but and neither I would argue Passion of the Christ probably doesn't depict how actually bad it was, but they would have obviously beaten him to a severe degree, put him on the
yeah.
cross,
Yeah.
so people can, but they would probably elevated him. He would have been like lowered to the ground,
Mhm.
arguably, so people could spit on him and as they passed by. And it was just the way that they make it is so that way, their arms are depicted like that.
Yeah.
So that way they have to pull themselves up to gasp for air. That's why you get that weird passage at the end of the crucifixion that they're coming to Passover. They got to get these people off the cross. So they smash the legs of the two people, but
Mhm.
they don't smash the legs of Jesus because he was already
He's
dead.
already, yeah, it was already
The
dead.
legs, what you take the legs out, now they suffocate because they can't push
Yeah.
themselves up to get air. And it was just a humiliating act. And they try to keep them alive on the cross as long as possible
Well, yeah, I mean
to get
that's the
that
point.
humiliation.
And it's supposed to be a torturous,
Yeah.
like you don't want to do this because like you're suffering.
And we talked about why they killed him. Blasphemy doesn't mean anything to the Romans. It
Mhm.
only mattered for the Jews. The Jews didn't have the authority to do that. The Romans had to. So it was just a crazy event because he was Pontius Pilate, the one who ordered the execution to go through,
Mhm.
was like, well, I don't see any fault in him. Like he's innocent. I don't know. But because of the uproar, he had almost like a protest on his hands if
Yeah.
he didn't crucify him. So he went out in front of the crowd and washed his hands. And he was like, look, this man's blood is not on me. It's on you guys. I'm,
Mhm.
trying to free himself of that guilt.
Yeah,
But
whatever
he
you had
even
to do to make
acknowledged they really want to kill this guy for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And then they put on
Well, it's
the
mob
crucifix.
mentality.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
it was. It was
mob
pressure.
mentality is very hard to deal with when it really, I mean, like you
Hmm.
said, like you've been to like protests, for example. I'm not, definitely not the same thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah,
giving an
yes.
example how hard it is to talk to people when
Mhm.
they're hyped up like that.
So yeah, and then on top of the cross it says this is the King of the Jews in
Mhm.
different languages, so everyone could see it. Yes, then he dies. That we get a description that there was an earthquake, the veil is torn, the sky's dark, and that veil being torn is symbolic because there's the veil in the temple. Only the high priest at the time could enter the Holy of Holies. Anyone else would die because it's like the holiest place. And that veil was torn, so symbolic to, well, now everyone has access. But like Jesus paid the price. But like it doesn't matter who you are. The high priest, I mean, anybody could go in there at that point and die. Now, if you want to say it was this a literal like tearing of the temple veil or whatever, I don't know. We can discuss
Mhm.
symbolicness in another episode. So he's dead. We have that. So yeah, Saturday, yesterday, he was in the tomb. Nothing to say there. And then we get today, we get the resurrection, which is Dawn's first time going to church.
Yes.
So we'll just transition into that.
A little
This is like
transition
the big
into,
moment.
yeah. I guess we can start with the fact of that it's been probably over 10 years since I even stepped foot inside a church for like a church service. I've been in churches for like flea markets, and,
Mm.
like other, random stuff, not like a service, funerals, etc. Yeah, I'm confident that I'm not missing out on anything. I was very bored, very bland, very white,
Mm.
but I'm pretty sure that's just because of the area that we're in. It's just like a white area. Um, music, it's a no for me, very boring. Um, very boring inside. People, though, I will say that no one was rude to me or judgmental. Definitely, if anything, it was more compliments. But sometimes, I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm not saying that's what people did, but sometimes people just they compliment because they see that you're different. Kind of like something that makes them feel better instead of like
Yeah.
actually
Yeah, of
wanting to
course.
compliment. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't thank you to anyone listening who gave me a compliment. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean like I've experienced that as well. And as you Christians would like to say, only Jesus knows your heart. Who am I to judge you on that? If you were sincere or not. I'm not saying anything like that, but I've gotten very many. You're so pretty, and I'm like, yes, thank you,
Mm.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's like okay, but no, I appreciate everyone who said kind things to me and the conversations that I had with some random people afterwards. Some people came up to me wanting to just talk about whatever. I appreciate that as well. I appreciate good non-hateful conversation. Like that's the whole point of this podcast. Just so I can appreciate when people do that without being prompted to. Let's go right into it. We got there. People are nice. They're complimentary. Very small. Very small homie. I guess it's part of like what people some people like that. Like I definitely wouldn't say that I like bigger churches
Yeah.
either. I'm not like a "Ooh, I love a mega church type person. I don't really like churches in general. So that's like not that's just my observation. See, the worship, like I said, not for me either. Not a fan of the music. I'm not expecting like a full blown metal concert or anything. Don't get me wrong, but
That'd be
like
fun.
I'm not very much of a what do you call contemporary Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
Not I've never liked it. It's never been something that was for me. Think of how I was saying to you earlier about how like certain Baptist churches more like I guess more like gospel music, like where
Yeah.
they're really getting into it. Like that
Yeah.
I can kind of get behind. Like,
Yeah.
I'm someone who is a music lover in general, and if I like music, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. I'm like, yes, I love it. So there are some gospel songs where I'm like, this is good. I'm not a hater. Like this is some good music, but that's just not for me. It's very white. Something that I also liked as well was the sign language interpreter who was there throughout the worship and the service itself. Um, I like that. I like the inclusivity for sure. Let's see. Oh, there were some of the lyrics for the song. Some of the lyrics where I was like, okay,
Mm.
what did I get? There was a lyric about I don't need to have guilt in this life or something like that, and that caught my attention
Mm.
because I was like, no guilt. I think you do need to feel a little bit, but that's just things. That's just me. I can understand Christians are very much like Jesus washed away all my sins. He died for all my sins, and thus I don't need to feel guilty about anything that I do or whatever. And I'm just like I don't like that. I guess it's more just like a song lyric. Don't read that deeply into it.
Well,
But no, it caught my attention because no guilt in this life had me being like, maybe you should.
I don't
Maybe
know
you
if
should.
that's necessarily the meaning that you're getting. I think you'd have to go into a deeper conversation about that.
There
I
can be. That's just like this is all as always with our podcast. Very brief. What was some other lyrics? There was lots of zombie lyrics. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Lots of he rose from the grave. And
Yeah, either believe it or you don't.
very zombie like if he did. And I think that's a whole part of Christianity in general.
Mm.
Oh, there was a lyric, life is worth living because Jesus lives, which I was like, okay, Christians, religious people in general, always everything that you do in life, give thanks to God, give thanks to Jesus, not you. Like you didn't do anything on your own. You couldn't have done anything without Jesus. And I hate that about religion in general because everything I got in my life, I busted my ass for. Jesus didn't help me with any of it.
Mm.
I wish he did. I would love some help with my life. And I used to beg for help. Unanswered prayers my entire life. Not a single one answered. Like, if I'm dedicating my life to you, my existence, my everything, and you are silent the entire time, because some people claim God spoke to me. Um, God gave me a like a revelation, or He spoke to me in this way, or whatever. I wanted that so bad. I wanted that, and it felt very isolating not to have that. It was very much like, well, God spoke to everyone else, but He's
Mm.
choosing not to speak to me. Very hurtful. But then again, it's like that was when I believed. Now I don't. So it's like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
What was I expecting? An answer to just pop into my head? I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, okay. Um,
And if
yeah,
anyone
yeah,
wants to listen to more about that, Dawn shares a lot more on
yes.
her view of
Was
Christianity.
one of was that the first or second episode
That
that
was
we
like the
did?
second episode we
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
And the only thing that I would add to that is because we're going to have hopefully somebody on who it kind of had the same experience. They
Hmm.
deconstructed from Christianity because they didn't have that type of revelation. And I would just ask, does I mean, from your experience with Christianity,
hmm
does the Bible set up that expectation that that's the normal thing to expect? That a
God
that
was
you
quite a yapper at one point, wasn't he?
in the Old Testament,
Yeah,
yes,
was he a yapper?
to the prophets.
Yeah, yeah, to the prophets.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, if you believe that,
yes.
but I'm saying if you believe this,
hmm
not to debate it back and forth, but because I don't think that's the normal expectation. Everybody has their own experience, like with Christianity. I never heard like a voice or had like some crazy thing.
No, that's
I'm not
very,
setting it up for that to be the normal experience. I think
yeah.
that's a very dangerous thing.
But do you not feel as though God has redirected your life?
I do, yeah,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say I had like a voice pop in my
Well, no,
head
that's not
and
what that's not exactly what
like
I mean. I don't mean
seen a
like
portal
God's
open
gonna
up.
come down from the clouds and point his finger at me and be like,
Hmm.
speaking to you, Giles, type thing.
Hmm.
That's not what I mean. More like there was no redirection of my life. There was no sign or anything, even though I was desperately hoping to find one. Like,
Yeah.
I think the biggest one that I clung to for a long time was, like I said, my life was on the path of pure destruction until I got pregnant. And I was like, well, that's my sign. That's my sign from God. Pregnancy is what saved my life, right? Because,
Mm.
like, ultimately, I was on a path of prostitution and as a teenager, in a like good old Atlantic City, and I was on the path of becoming a trafficked kid. And I very much like I've been listening to a lot of stories about Epstein survivors, and I very much would have been one of those kids that was like, yeah, no, I'm totally cool with this. Let's go.
Mm.
Like something that you can understand, like Davi Vanity. I would have totally been like, yeah, like this sounds great to me. Like I was one of those kids that was very much on the path of like, yeah, no, like abuse sounds great to me because like my life sucks. If you can like make it better, I don't care what I have to give you type thing. And that's where I was at, like right before I got pregnant. And then when I got pregnant, I was like, okay, this is my chance to like fix my life. And like God's gonna help me fix my life. But ultimately is not what happened, even though I tried for years after as well to hold on to my faith, which was already crumbling by that point. But I still was trying and hoping. And it was very much like there still wasn't anything. There wasn't what I needed. My life was still falling apart. It was, if anything, it went from one side of the coin of being bad to like another side of the coin of being bad. And like I think I spoke about it before, where like all the churches refused to help me, and I was even more judged, and I was just struggling. I
Mm.
was, I didn't have any money. I couldn't do anything to provide for my kid in the way that she needed. I was begging, becoming a beggar. And I was like, is this what God saved my life for? Did God save my life for me to continue suffering, like in a different way? Like,
Mm.
sure, maybe I'm not being trafficked, but now I'm suffering because abortion is bad. I'm not, I'm not saying that I ever even considered it, because especially at that time, it was something that I was like, whoa, no. Not saying that I would even go back and choose that if I believe differently. My daughter is definitely my life's greatest blessing, 100%. But I'm just, I had some support from the family, but like there are other kids out there who don't have that. And it's like
Mhm.
they also are living that life, like the suffering and just being like, life is worth living because Jesus lives. That lyric just like angers me because my life is worth living because that's what I chose. I chose to still be here and I chose to make my life better. Like once I left my faith in religion and Christianity, that's when my life started to get better. It wasn't because Jesus lives and he is still alive and he's not a zombie or whatever. It's just didn't make anything better. It's just like that little lyric like put me on like it was that much for me to be like now I'm mad. Like immediately, like first thing in the service, like that lyric, I forget when it happened, but it was pretty early on and I was
Mhm.
like internally screaming because I might not, to those who might have saw me and might have looked like I wasn't paying attention, because I was like in my notes and on my phone a lot of the time, I was paying attention. I'm listening. I'm very good at the multitask. Oh, right. The thing that I'll also saw like the tithing.
Mm.
like when the little basket rolls around. I've always hated that. Christian tithes, I think, is a bunch of it's wrong, in my opinion. It's wrong. Because where do the tithes go?
I think you'd have to be more involved in the church to really see that. But for example, I think I mentioned before the church buys and redoes all the RVs like in South I don't know, when there's storms. So that way homeless people have a safe place to go. I know there's a ministry to help the kids who can't afford going to like the boxing gym, and it's like a discipleship for them. It gives them like structure in their lives. So money goes to helping them go there. And I mean, we can go on and on. That might be a better question for Jesse because he sent me like a long text message of everything that they are doing. But I think that you could, if you don't know the church, you could easily come to the assumption that, oh, this is just making the pastor rich.
I
But
don't think
I
it's
would,
making the pastor rich, but it does go to his pocket. Not all of it. I'm not saying it's
yeah,
all for
yeah,
him. That's
yes.
not what I mean.
Hmm.
But ultimately, the people are who pays the pastor. Not all pastors get paid either. That's also,
No, no,
they don't all get paid.
no.
Some people do it, out of the kindness of their own heart.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying that that's the whole point here. But if they are getting paid, it's from the
Hmm.
congregation,
Yeah.
who some don't have that to even give. Now, New Age Christians, contemporary Christians, born again, whatever, are just like, oh, you give whatever you can, and you can't. But like in other churches, that's very looked down upon. If anything, it's like it's wrong of you
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
to give that money type
Yeah.
thing. And some place,
Of course.
some religions find it to be like a sin if you don't.
Mhm.
That's like Judaism and some
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
ones, very Old Testament, like you
Hmm.
have to type
But let me ask you this.
thing.
Do you see an issue of currently, as it stands, you don't know what happens to that money? Do you feel some type of way? Because it sounds like you have a negative view of this. You don't know what Coastal Christian's doing with that money.
I don't.
I'm
I
assuming
mean, no
that
one really knows
you're
what any churches do.
because they
Maybe.
have to be transparent about these things. I don't know if every church is, but you can look that up. Like
Mhm,
you can find the files and see what are all that they're doing about this.
mhm.
And obviously you wouldn't agree with everything that they're doing, but I think you would find they do a lot of good stuff.
I know. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm
Hmm.
not saying they don't.
And do you think it's wrong for
But
any amount of money to go to the pastor?
I feel like that really is up to the congregation. Like
Hmm.
if that's something they're comfortable with. But that was something that I wasn't comfortable with.
Yeah, yeah.
Like for always, my whole life, I was like, "What do you mean? I need to give the church? I need, not
Oh,
want or
yeah,
whatever."
yeah.
Like that really comes on to how like you view it. Like whatever your religion, like all religions have something different when it comes to
Hmm.
tithe. um like either it's mandatory or it's just whatever you can give type thing.
Yeah.
It's whatever, it's not that serious. But I was always like, I'm barely making it as is
Mm,
in this church. God wants my money. No, you're not getting a single cent from me
mhm.
ever. Never did, because I never had it to give. So it's fine. You don't have to. You can just get whatever you want. You can always just put in a quarter if that's all you have to give. Blah 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 blah. No, no, because ultimately, stuff like you said, like the church is doing, blah blah blah. Okay, shouldn't you just do that anyway? Just do it anyway.
Mm.
I don't think you need, like I always say, I don't think you need religion to be a good person. I don't need religion to be like, oh yeah, I need to collect this amount of money from you so I can go do X, Y, and Z with it.
Mm.
It's like, why not just do that anyway?
To be clear, Coastal Christian, this experience, nobody gave you that impression that you had to tithe.
No, 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 not at all. No, I don't think any church that I've ever personally have been to
Okay.
has ever given that. I know I'm just speaking like strictly like religious based. This is part of the church experience, and that's why
Yes.
I'm talking about it. The church experience is you go, there's worship, there's prayer, there's tithe.
Yes.
And that was always like one of the, it's very repetitive. It's very much like as I'm sitting there, I'm like, ah, yes, I remember this, and I remember this, and I remember
Mhm.
these are reasons why I stopped going.
Mhm.
I mean, uh, there's many bajillion reasons why, but that's also one of them. Um, Something that I put down that I found to be funny was just they were like, "When you're here, you're family. We're family." I was
Oh
like,
yeah, you
"That's
love that.
Olive Garden's slogan." Like, it had me giggling because I was like, "Okay, maybe
Mm.
choose a different slogan." What was the last one? Oh, the whole like
Oh.
at the end where I think you even went over this too with being baptized. But like when you go up, they're like, if anyone wants to come up and be saved, it's like it's really odd to me. That's always been odd. And
Mm,
then like repeat after me. It's very cult like. It's all very cult like.
mm,
Especially like the repeating part. Also,
yeah.
like repeat after me, say this or whatever. I forget. There was a couple of things where just say this, everybody. It's like
Mm,
very much brainwashing, like very much, and that's not saying that's what's happening, but that's how the brainwash. There's many ways brainwashing can happen, but one is like repetitiveness.
mm,
Like you're told this, you must believe this. He is risen. Amen. What was that?
uh,
Amen. And stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. And then it's like
yeah,
all the clapping, and I'm just like,
I know.
okay. But then again, I've also been to, like I said, Baptist churches where they're getting down, and I mean it, and like they're actually getting down there. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, everyone worships differently. Very true. I find it all odd, not just not just like woo. I find all of it odd. All of it's
Yeah.
weird to me.
Well,
But
I think I would say that's something that for me has been a long weird thing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like the repeating thing.
yeah.
I would said the exact same thing. There's a lot of the things that you say, I've had very similar issues with that. I'm just like, oh gosh, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to like hear it, and I'm like, yeah, I had those same thoughts. I think in that reciting thing, I don't know, not this specifically, but a lot of churches they will like repeat some things,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
different creeds,
Mhm.
different like I don't know, the Nicene Creed or the Doxology.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll
There's so
say the
many.
same things, and I'm just like, this is weird. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a form of brainwashing, but it's a form of reestablishing what do we believe as a
Yes.
church?
Yeah.
We do
Which
believe in the resurrection.
to me is
We
brainwashing. But
we
yes.
believe in this. We believe in this. So it's reciting what does this church specifically believe?
Mhm.
Like well, I mean, and again, no one's forcing you to say these things. If you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
agree,
Yeah.
don't say it. But so there's going to be those people who say it and they don't believe it, and that again goes back to what's in the person's heart. They can say it, they can throw their hands up in worship,
Mhm.
they could be shaking, going crazy, and they don't believe any of it. They're just doing it just to do it.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
got the person who's like sitting down, they don't want to stand up
Mhm.
because some people have extreme anxiety. They feel overwhelmed. They don't want
Yeah.
to be there, but their heart is really in it for God. So yeah, you just have. But yeah, I thought, and still like some things can seem a little cringy, and I'm just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But it's whatever.
And
Everyone responds
I
differently.
think the very two last things. Well, one I
Mm,
can just briefly go over, and then one I'll end with for the service. The last one where everyone can come up for prayer type
hmm
thing. That was another thing that always used to bother me because it was like, hey, I'm going through like this terrible time in my life, and or like I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost my wife. Yeah, let's pray for you.
mm,
I need help. Let's pray for you. I need help. Thoughts and prayers. Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on. I don't like that. But so
and to establish that is
yes.
not what happened here at this service at
No,
Coastal Christian.
no, it wasn't like anyone from my own personal
Yeah,
experience.
because from my experience at this church, that actually has happened a couple times,
Mhm.
and they do pull together and help out. But again, that's not every Christian or every church does that,
Yes. Yes.
unfortunately. And I understand the annoyingness of that, like thoughts and prayers. The Bible actually speaks out against that.
Yes.
It says
Yeah.
it literally that exact same thing. If you pray for someone because they're hungry, it's action. Your faith without action is useless. It's dead.
Hmm.
Like, what good is that? It doesn't do anything. It's not showing the love of God.
Yeah.
So the Bible condemns it, and you're in alignment with the Bible right there.
Well, like you would even say, I think a lot of what did you say before about me?
Oh, yes, that you share similar thoughts and feelings with a lot of people in the Bible.
Well, yeah, because I'm not 100% opposed type thing. Like if I was, why would I have stayed in the faith
Mm,
until I was, you know, not deep into my 20s, but my early 20s.
yeah.
Like that's a big chunk of your life. That's not nothing. Like I could have stopped at any time, but I didn't. I mean, there's even I'm a human being, so of course there are parts of me even now that go, "Am I right?" Like you know, it messes me up
Mm,
all the time. Like I'm always questioning myself, um, and I think that's healthy. too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I
No.
think it's healthy to question yourself. I feel like if you're not questioning yourself, maybe you should start.
And actually, this brings me to a point that one thing that I love about this podcast, that we can have these discussions, is that you offer such a different point of view. A
Mhm.
lot of Christians, they should hear from people who have been hurt by the church and have these negative experiences
Instead
and
of
these
shutting them
feelings,
down,
instead
yeah.
of shutting them down, because you offer a different way of looking at things. So that way Christians can be like, well, why do I believe this? Why do I say this
Mhm.
to people? Like someone people bring up the cancer analogy,
Yeah,
the cure
it
for
drives me
cancer.
nuts.
Why do you say that? Like, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with that, because I do believe there's truth in that, but understand why you're saying it. Like, do
Mhm.
you understand the weight of what you're saying? And we
Especially, I feel
always,
like that's one's always kind of a little bit hurtful to people who do have cancer and who
Mhm,
are suffering.
it could, yeah.
You know, like you don't like what if I had cancer and you just said that to me? I'd be like, I think I'd be even more mad if
Yeah.
I was suffering through cancer and someone's like, Christianity is like the cure for cancer. Like,
Mm,
okay, all right.
yeah,
And
it can
that's
be
why
weird.
I'm in like stage 4 or whatever, right? Like, okay.
Mm,
But that's besides the point. That's
yeah.
so besides the point.
But Christians should be
Yes.
thinking about what they say,
Whatever you
especially.
believe in,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you should be able to back it up. You
Yeah.
know, and that's why I enjoy talking to you because you're like, well, actually, historical and blah blah blah, and like you have um answers instead of "Eh, just because Bible says so. Bible says so.
Oh,
God said so, and I don't like that. You know, it doesn't
no.
matter what religion. Uh, it really doesn't matter. You know, I just don't like if you don't have a leg to stand on, maybe sit down. That's all.
Mm,
The last thing is just about churches in general. And this is something that I see, and it's very prevalent. So, churches, like, why are so many people drawn to a church? Not just the Christian church, but any type of faith. Why are they drawn to it? It brings community, right? You have that community. Like, they even spoke about it so much in the beginning. Like, community is so important for humans. We crave it. You know, we crave for anyone like maybe they believe in the same things I do type thing. And like, of course, I want to be surrounded by people who all believe the same thing that I do. And I find that to be very, I don't think that's a good thing. I think it's good to be surrounded by people who think differently than you because you learn more that way. If you are surrounded only by people that believe all in the same thing that you do, you're never going to fully understand the other side of things. And also, it like like they start you early, like pretty much immediately from the moment you're born. If you're in the church of any kind, it's immediately like they start young. They start immediately. They don't even let you like form like your own thoughts and opinions. It's almost like immediate like songs and teachings and like from the moment you're a baby, like you're put
mm,
into like a nursery where they're just like, Jesus this and Jesus that. And it's scary to leave it. When you leave the church sometimes it's like now I have to find my own community. Now I have to find my own people. And sometimes that's hard. So people just fall right back into that church setting because that's comfort. What's scary is going out into the world on your own, believing what you believe of any kind. It's not easy when you don't have that community to back you up. It's scary and it's hard and churches draw you in with a coffee and snacks in the morning. It's like, hey, we have free coffee and free breakfast. And the average person is like, especially like let's say if like you're homeless or whatever, like like that sounds super appealing.
mm-hmm.
It's like free food, and then you guys host all these events, and there's all this stuff that I can do. Like that's great. Where else are you gonna find that? You don't, unless like unless you're looking for it. Like, and that is why so many people stay in the church. And like we even spoke about it before, like certain Catholics or certain Christians. Why do you come? I don't know. Just just because. Like
Mm-hmm.
just because like that's how I was raised. I was born Catholic and I've just been going to mass my entire life where I was born Christian and I've just been going like every Sunday from the moment I was born or or whatever. It's like because I found community here. There's community and people who are nice to me, and everywhere else maybe I'm frowned upon for speaking about Jesus or whatever because or I'm laughed at or certain people it's like no one's listening to me or whatever like it's the world that's the problem like why do you think Mormons just stay in their own little states like community is very important to people and once you leave that it's scary some churches will even be like will wipe your hands of you. Not saying that that's something that's normal here, but like some churches will just be like, all right, well, you're not part of the congregation anymore, but you're not welcome back.
Mm.
It's very that's odd behavior as well. I've seen people get letters from church being like you're excommunicated, like you're not allowed here anymore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy when something like that happens. But that's why I think when I found my community outside of the church, it was someone that took me a long time to find. It wasn't like, oh, you just look wherever. And it's kind of hard to find your own community, especially when you live in an area like a suburban white neighborhood. Not that that's where we're at now, but I mean, when you live in like that suburban area where everyone is very much the same, it's very hard to be different. And finding that group, I mean, I guess in a sense, it's like I found my own community that's not Christian based. Okay, sure, but like also I find peace in my own company. I find peace on my own. I don't need that community to be happy. I don't need to go to a church service every Sunday at 9 a.m. to prove that I'm somebody, worthy or whatever. I don't need to be in community to prove anything to anyone.
Hmm.
And well, I mean, I think a lot of uh, religious people would also agree that like you don't need to go to church. It's just something that you know, if you
I,
want that community, there it is, but you don't have
mhm.
to. Um, some might beg to differ on that, depending on what you believe in, of
Yeah,
course.
I would be
But
one to beg to differ.
oh,
I
go
think.
ahead. Tell me why.
Well, I'm not to get into it right
Well,
now
no,
because there
but I
could be a
mean,
lot to say.
briefly.
But yeah, I don't know if the anything that we say or do and we talk here, I think we need to really separate what's the normal church experience or the weird church experience, like everything that you're saying, like people getting excommunicated,
Oh yeah, no,
people
those are definitely like standouts. Like
like
those are like mega churches that do that.
yeah, but whatever the case is, be like, okay, here's maybe the church is doing that. Maybe people in the church are doing all that. However, what is the church supposed to be in the Bible? What is the biblical context? What is the biblical need for
And
the
I would
church?
say maybe like 5% of churches are adhering to that.
And I can't say that's true or not. I don't know, but I'm regardless, it's irrelevant to the fact of what the Bible is trying to say. And I don't think you can read through the New Testament and see that community is irrelevant or you don't need community because the church isn't supposed to just be like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I like
Well,
the
no, I
people
don't
here. It's
mean
supposed
it
to
like
be
that.
spiritual nourishment. If you're not eating, you're going to get hungry and sick spiritually. If you're not going to church to get an understanding of the word, it should be comforting and it should be convicting. It should be providing spiritual growth for you. So if you're not going, if you're cutting yourself off from that, I think someone who's a Christian would find themselves struggling in their faith. And the church should be open to be like, oh, hey, I have questions. I have doubts. I don't know if this is true. I have problems with this. Hopefully, they're welcoming towards that and they're not cutting you off for that. Certainly, Coastal Christian didn't, because when I went, I had so many problems. I had so
Hmm.
many questions about God. I was like, this is like, I don't understand who God is. They were very welcoming towards that. So that I really appreciate that in that sense. But yeah, I mean, that's my short thing. I'll keep it short of that. But
Yeah.
I don't think the Bible sets up the tone that somebody doesn't need to go to church.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would just want to have a conversation with someone why they feel opposite to that. Because I don't want to say just how I feel. I don't want to
Yeah.
turn God into who I think He is.
Yes.
If this is true, He defines what's right and wrong. He defines who He is. And we have to get our backing off of that, or else we have nothing. Because I don't want to do it how I feel, like how flawed are our feelings half the time. They can be very flawed. So yeah, that's just the short end of that.
And
So
really, that's like the end of my church experience in
yeah,
general. Rating out of 10, maybe like a 2.
Hmm.
It's generous. Like I said, it's just not for someone like me.
Mm,
It's not entertaining in the slightest. It's not going to keep my attention. Uh, the message was very bland, very
mm,
not very like I'm not saying like, oh, go to church to be entertained. That's not what I mean. But like if you want to keep people's attention, you have to be somewhat entertaining. I mean, it's just life in general. If you want to keep people's attention, you have to grab
hmm.
it in the first place. To me,
Yeah.
my attention's never grabbed when I'm at a church. I'm just like, you're not a very good public speaker to me. That's just me. That's just my very own personal
That's fair.
opinion. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just how I feel. Like it just didn't capture my attention.
Yeah. That's fair. And that's a good thing about Christianity, all the different denominations. Some people have problems with all these different denominations,
Mhm.
but you can find there's so many churches out there.
Oh
You
yeah.
can, if you don't like how one church worships, go to another church. If you don't like how the pastor preaches at one church, go to another church. If you don't like the community here, go to another church. Find one that you like. It might take a while and it's hard, but I think that's with any aspect in life.
Oh yeah.
Finding your community, find what works for you, and kind of what you also said, community is big. That's the same experience, not just the church, like someone in the church trying to find a different community. That goes for anybody, even if somebody's like, if I hang out with like the big LGBT community crowd and I decide that I want to start going to church, it's going to be hard for me to leave that community behind. And they might not welcome me going to that new community.
Mhm.
So you can find that anywhere.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah.
another thing that kind of struck what you were saying about everyone has that drive for community, and a lot of people find it in the church. It just reminds me of the Satanic Bible. Ha- I don't remember if it's the Satanic Scriptures or the Satanic Bible. I don't know. But one point was that every human has a drive that they need to worship something, or there needs
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
there's something out there.
We
And
need answers.
yeah, and the Satanic Bible would say, you would agree with you to find that inwards. Be
Yes.
like, well, I'm my own center of worship, which is, you know, the same as yeah, Satanism. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the absolute, that's kind of, depending on what branch I guess
Mhm.
you're looking at. Maybe someone does believe in Satan and worshiping Satan, but the Satanic scriptures will say to worship yourself and
Yeah.
that inward drive.
Yeah.
But and that's what the Bible says, is that every human has that need, that or that thought that there's something greater out there. There's something in us that
Well,
drives
yeah.
us for those answers. And where are you going to find those answers?
It's very human
Yeah.
to be like I need answers.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't believe there's going to be an answer for everything out there. It's
Mm.
just what I personally believe. I don't think everything can be explained. I mean, that's
Not in this
just
short lifetime.
no, no. I mean, we
Yeah.
only have such a short life, and I mean, do you dedicate your life to finding answers, or do you dedicate your life to living?
Mm.
Because unfortunately, you can't really do both.
Yeah.
I mean, you can try, of course, but like ultimately, you're gonna end up missing out on something or another. But that's the end of the church experience, and then the actual resurrection.
Mm.
Because I mean, I feel like that's like the main,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
that's like the whole. That's what makes Christians Christians.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can just jump right into that. So go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. So also, obviously, for Easter Sunday, Christians, we believe that Jesus rose from the grave. The tomb was empty. He appeared to people. Um, Obviously, you would disagree.
Hmm.
Maybe you would agree that the tomb was empty.
I agree that Jesus existed,
Mm-hmm.
that he was crucified,
Mm-hmm.
and that he died.
Okay.
I mean, obviously he's dead. I mean, no one, we all die. No one's alive
Mm.
from that back then type thing. Um, I and the tomb being empty, I guess, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a zombie
Mm.
who, you know, rose from the grave. I mean, there are hundreds of different theories that you could come up with on why the tomb was empty. There are so many. I
Yes,
mean,
I know of a few.
I mean, the very last one I would choose is that
Mm.
he came back to life.
Well, I think the biggest one that maybe you would agree with, called the legendary development theory, that um, the idea of the resurrection was a later development,
Yeah.
and that as you see the centuries go on, or the further you get from the event, the more information you have about the resurrection and the appearances,
I mean,
because
that's
in
kind of what happened anyway.
based on what
Well, when were the Gospels written?
within 30 years of the resurrection,
Yes,
or within 30, 50
but
years.
not from themselves either. Were the Gospels not originally anonymous?
No. There's theories, but I think the weight of evidence would show that it
Mhm.
was likely written by them. There's a couple that are anonymous, like Hebrews. People are like, well, it probably wasn't Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's one of those things that, like, if you believe otherwise, like, present your evidence. We could talk about it. But I think you would see that it was most likely the authors, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Most likely, but we can't
Yeah,
fully.
yeah. We don't have the original manuscript, so I wouldn't say we have them very early on. But
Yes.
now Luke and Mark, right? Mark and Luke, yeah,
Mhm.
were not disciples.
Yeah.
They were contemporaries of Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only John and Matthew that were actually with Jesus. But even Luke's gospel,
And Mark was written first,
yes, yeah, Mark was written first.
because that makes sense.
What do you mean?
The two non-disciples,
Mm,
right? And
mhm,
Mark's came first.
mhm.
And most of the other Gospels are all kind of like a ripoff of Mark. Very
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
word for word in certain
yeah.
instances. It's very
Mhm.
much like,
Oh,
like copy your homework,
yeah. Well, there's
but
even
also
actually
don't copy it entirely. Just make sure that like they know it was written in your own words. Like don't copy
mm,
it word for word because that's plagiarism. Sounds
mm.
bad. So
Yeah,
maybe tweak it a little bit.
there's a lot of there's even like a theory that there's a fifth document of Q that they copied off of that, but we have nothing to show that. It's just
Yeah.
a theory. And but actually, even the letters from Paul, like First Corinthians, was written before the Gospels were.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like our first
Yeah, and then
thing.
Paul never even met Jesus.
Well, he did actually.
When?
I think it was an appearance.
Yes, a vision.
I mean, if that's what you're gonna argue, then yes, it was. But
Was it
he had
after
that in
Jesus died?
experience. I want to say so.
So
Nobody quote me on that.
I don't think he met him when he was alive. But then again, this is all for my own
Yeah,
personal
yeah,
belief. Does anyone
course.
actually really know what happened? That's how I
Mhm,
feel about that. Yeah, and then what was it? John being
mhm,
written last, right? Right.
mhm.
So that was like 70 to 80
Perhaps.
years later. Not even 30. Like 30 is a long time, sure, but like 80 years. Like, let's think about that in like today's term. That would be like if you're asking your grandma to write about something that happened 80 years ago. Like
Mm,
how accurate is that going to be? I don't really think, and this is all eyewitness accounts from the eyewitness accounts that were written 30 years ago. I mean, 30 years later.
mhm.
Like to me, that's not very, this proves it, especially considering what other proof do you have for the resurrection besides the Bible?
I would say nothing hard evidence. However, I mean, we could talk about the shroud. I would not use that as evidence, though.
No.
However, it's fascinating and nobody has answers to it. It is the most mysterious object in the world, and people can get a degree in it, and
Mm.
it's really cool, and we can do an episode on it because I do find it fascinating. I wouldn't use it as hard evidence.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's not something that exists,
Hmm.
but that is that proof?
I guess it depends on who you ask. I would not use it as proof. No,
So I mean,
I think
really,
it's cool.
it all comes down to just the
Faith.
Bible.
Yeah, it comes down to faith. You believe it or you don't.
Yes.
And
My whole thing is I need something besides eyewitness accounts from an
mm,
event that happened 30 years ago. I also don't believe that it was written directly by them.
okay.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Also, my biggest gripe with that is I can't stand that we whitewash their names so bad like that. Yeah, okay.
Mm.
There's just a Mark. All right. I already know that's like not
Well,
name,
we say things in English.
I just can't stand it because like there's
Yeah.
so much of the Bible that like they didn't do that too.
Mm,
But the Gospels we chose to whitewash everyone's name. And it's like, okay. That's like super nitpicky, like very like it doesn't really matter like the grand scheme of
Yeah.
things. Don't get me wrong,
And-
but it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, we had to whitewash this. Like, okay,
Mhm.
it's very just like erasing of culture, in my
So-
opinion. But that's
Yeah.
super besides the point.
What do you do with historical figures? Oh, who is it? Alexander the Great or whatever?
No,
where
that's
it's like they're
also a fun example
written-
that Christians always bring up. It's
Yeah,
always
they
this-
do.
Another
they do.
one of
So
the same
I hesitate to bring it up because of that, but I'm curious what your response to that would be. Like what, I'm not saying that in like a rhetorical sense, but like I'm just curious. Like,
Well, that comes down to what on the point I just made previously. How many accounts do we have of him that aren't from just one book?
hmm,
That's really where things come down to me. Like you have an account of Jesus rising from the dead in one book.
mhm.
Can you show me something else? That's really what it comes down to. The Bible is it. I'm not saying that it's like completely inaccurate or that none of this stuff happened. I don't, I'm not, don't put that on me,
Yeah.
like who am I type thing. Like, don't listen to anything I have to say type thing. These are just for like things that I'm like, I can't, you're not you, but like you're asking me to believe that Jesus resurrected based solely on the Bible and that's it. I need something else. I don't believe in outer space, for example, just because. I believe because they've done multiple scientific research into these things, like black holes, for example. No one's seen one, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that I don't believe they exist. Why? Because there's been multiple scientific research into this thing. And there are also accounts from like years ago from like early scientists are like, hey, I see a thing over there, but I don't know what that is type thing. But like I'm gonna mark it down. I was like, I noticed that. That's really what it comes down to for me, is that you got these gospels and then that's it. And like they're not even like written like in the moment. Like, okay, we can also put that on like, did they know how to read it right? I mean, that's also like a big argument as to why it wasn't like an immediate. Because, bro, if I saw someone raised from the dead, I'm writing that down. Write that down. Write that down.
Mhm.
Like, I'm writing that down. I'll be like, whoa, crazy. Also, it's not as if they just saw him raised out of the tomb type thing. Like, no one like watched him walk out. I mean, he
Mm.
just like appeared to them. I don't think it was even immediately after he like came out type thing. Was it weeks after, or like was it days later?
The day, yeah.
Yeah, the day of,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like an immediate like I'm out and I'm coming to see you guys. Like, and I'm just gonna show myself to like these selective people so that they can
Mhm.
go off and let everybody else know. Like I'm gonna show myself to my friends.
Hmm. Well, he did. There is a statement in there. I mean, what do you do with it? I don't know. Forget where exactly that he appeared to. Oh, yes, I think in the book of Acts or something.
Mhm.
One of those that Jesus appeared to a crowd of 500 people, and I think Luke is saying that some of these people are still alive. Now, what does that mean for us? Nothing. But people that he was writing to back then was like, these people saw him. This big crowd of people saw him. Like, here, go
And yet,
talk to them.
and yet, not a single person wrote about it anywhere else.
Hmm.
I guess like you need to believe that because
Mhm.
the whole thing about
Yeah.
Christianity is if the resurrection didn't happen, then the religion crumbles, and then you just have
Yes.
like Judaism,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. That's a verse I maybe in Corinthians. I don't have things like right in front of me
notes,
to like
but
memorize. I'm not one of those fancy pastors who just like, I know the verse for this.
Mhm.
But Paul is saying if the resurrection did not happen, Christians are to be the most pitied of men on earth. Like, well, our whole life is a lie. Like this is absolutely,
Yeah.
we're all pitiful
There's
people.
it always reminds me of that South Park scene
Mm,
where everyone's dead, or the resurrection, the rapture, whatever, something
yeah.
happens, and you got all the people gathered up, and the guy goes, yeah, and the guy goes in the crowd, they're like, who was right or whatever, and it's like, actually, it was the Mormons, and everyone's like, oh, boo, and everyone's like so upset. They're just like, what do you mean it was the Mormons? It's a one big joke,
Mhm.
but like, I'm always just like, I don't know, like to me, like I don't really think that anyone's really gonna know like until you kick the bucket. Like
Mm,
that's gonna be the ultimate like now we see, now we find out.
mm,
Unless you get to be one of those lucky quotes around. Some people are just like, he's coming back. Rapture's gonna happen tomorrow. Be ready. You
mm.
got whole cults that form around that.
Yes.
Yeah, whole cults. And Christians love to also bring up um why would so many people die if this isn't something that happened?
Yeah,
Like, why would they die for their faith? And I
that I don't
don't
like.
think that's a good argument because cults, right there, they firmly believe, like they wouldn't commit suicide if they
Yeah.
didn't believe in what they believed. So,
Mhm.
like, them being like, oh, they were ready to like throw their lives away for Jesus or whatever. I'm not saying that they committed suicide. I mean, some of them were murdered, but like religious genocide is nothing new. Doesn't matter what religion.
No.
Doesn't matter if you were Christian. Christians were persecuted. Christians also were the ones who did the persecuting. I mean, all religions have done something terrible in the
Yeah.
name of their religion. Wars, so many. I mean, even now, it's nothing new. It doesn't really matter. And I think a lot of the Bible, like people like the Old Testament, is very violent, very full of wars. It just from the beginning of time, we have been a war-driven species.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
Always.
agree. I would agree with what you said because that's something that's also I find weird that people say, what is it exactly? People wouldn't die for a lie.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's to be rephrased as people wouldn't die for what they know is a lie.
Yeah.
And maybe you argue you would, but I think the point and the message in that is, and this is not, I wouldn't use this or say it to prove that Christianity is true, but I think you would say it's just like a little piece. It's like, why, if they developed this story that he rose from the grave and he didn't, what is in it for them? Like, why would they create this lie and spread it and do things and endure the torturing that they did
hmm
if this was not true? If they made it up, you would expect to see that one of the 12 or some of them would right later on or come to denounce Christianity, be like, hey, this wasn't true, we just made this up for the fame, because you have the three motivators in that,
I
the
think they
money.
firmly believe.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
they firmly believe.
Yes, and again, I'm not used, I wouldn't say
No,
that
I
to
don't. I
prove
don't
it.
think any of the 12 disciples were just like, yeah, this is a bunch of fooey.
Hmm.
I'm like you firmly believe. That doesn't. I'm not being like, yeah, it's a bunch of nonsense. And then my other notes were really just about things that we can do other episodes on because we definitely want to do an episode on hell because I wrote down some notes about that, but I was like, that's not necessarily what this episode is about.
Yeah.
But we should because there was like lyrics that I heard about
Yeah.
hell, and I was like, okay, like that's like a whole other
Yes.
whole other rant and category for sure. Because boy, do I got a lot to say about that as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's ultimately what ended up taking me away from
Mm.
Christianity. At like there's many, many, many things, but I think the concept of hell is where you entirely lose me.
Mm.
So, but as far as the resurrection, so Christians believe that he's going to come back.
Hmm.
And then what happens?
Well, actually, I have to write a paper on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to read a book speaking on the millennium.
Mm-hmm.
What do people believe in the 1,000 years, a literal 1,000 years? Does Jesus come before? Does he come after?
Mm-hmm.
What happens after that? Because you have the idea of the rapture that
Yeah.
really is popularized by that show or the movie Left Behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The
that's
book series too.
yeah, that it's a weird it it gets crazy. So, but that it'll be depending on who you ask, I guess, what
Mm-hmm.
happens afterwards. But the main concept that once Jesus comes back, that this world is done. The Whoever believed in him is going to be. We're going to get our new glorified bodies, a new heaven and
Mm-hmm.
new earth, and that's going to be the final eternal state. Now, of course, you have the Antichrist, and that. Oh
Mm-hmm.
boy, yeah, it really spirals
Oh
into
yeah.
all these different beliefs.
Well, I mean, the Book of Revelations could be multiple episodes on its own. So it's
Yeah.
some crazy
So
stuff.
yeah,
But
I'll leave that off.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, some Christians believe that like let's say we die tomorrow,
Mm,
right? And then the rapture happens like 200 years from now. We're dead.
mhm,
You just get brought back to life. Some Christians believe that you can't burn your body,
mhm.
like you can't be cremated, and that you have to be, kept whole so that you can be brought back. I'm just like,
Oh,
not the zombie theory for even more zombies. It's like it's so weird. Like there's like religious reasons on why you can't be cremated because
yeah.
you need to have your earthly body.
No. Well,
Uh, and the heavenly body, there's also theories that like you're gonna be getting like a new body, kind of like the one you have now, but like there's gonna be no sexual organs. And like to me, when you say something like that, it's implying that your sexual organs are not perfect, that they're imperfect. And like that also adds to the sexual shame that it's on the church. Like it's stuff like that, but like very nitpicky and like extra stuff that we can do other episodes on later. But it's just I mean, kind of correlates, you know. But
yeah,
also, Jesus really at the end of the day, end of the episode, Jesus rose, you have your Christianity, he didn't rise, it crumbles, it falls apart. So
absolutely. The final statement on my end, um, I'm sure everyone who listens to this could agree, whether you're a Christian or not. I think everybody has to be in agreement that they are completely like amazed at your willingness to like one talk about all this stuff and two just even go to church in general.
yeah, I would like to take a moment to talk about how big
Uh,
of a thing that is. Why is it so big? It's not really even that important, right? Like, oh, who cares? Some
oh,
some goth girl went to church, big whoopsie doo or whatever. Um, for people who have known me for years, right, or especially if you've followed me on social media, once I left the the religion, once I left Christianity, what happened? I got angry at Christians, hateful. I wouldn't even speak to one. You told me you were a Christian, I turned my back on you. I didn't want to have that conversation. I still have friends who are still like this
yeah.
now, and that's very valid. I'm not even saying
Hmm.
that like that's invalid, but like what did that do for me? It doesn't do anything good for me to be hateful and bitter towards people just because they believe in something different than I do of any kind. I wouldn't do that to someone who was um told me that they were Jewish. I was just like I was mad at Christianity for how I was treated. But like exactly like how you say, just because of how Christianity and the church treats you doesn't mean that's like what the Bible
Mm,
states. I find myself agreeing with a lot of what the Bible says. I mean, there are so much that I don't agree with, which is why I can't claim myself to be a
yeah.
Christian because my big thing is I don't believe in hypocrisy. Why would I claim to be a Christian when I believe in certain other things? I
Mm,
can, maybe I believe in both. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, you think I would know, but like the big thing here and for this podcast is being like, there doesn't need to be that hate filled between either party because you've seen it happen to me on the other end where Christians have been rude to me. Okay, well, that doesn't have to be the experience. It can just be like this. It can just be
mhm.
what happened earlier today. Like it doesn't have to be hate from either side. That's like the biggest thing here, and that I'm trying to be the bigger person, and sometimes being the bigger person sucks. It's never like a fun thing to be the bigger person
No.
to because what hate is easy, right? Hate is the easy way. It's so much harder to love thy neighbor. It's easier to hate them and to not want anything to do with them. It's easier to turn your back. It's easier to ignore. It's easier to be like, I'm not even going to give you an opportunity because if I give you an opportunity now, I'm wasting my time by listening to your nonsense. Okay, but that's not going to get us anywhere. That's not going to let us understand one another.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to help anything. And does that make you feel good inside to be so hate filled? Like, does it make you feel good? It didn't make me feel good. I was just walking around mad, angry at God, angry at Christians, angry at myself, angry at my life circumstances, angry at everything. And what does that do? What does it do? Like, at some point, it's like you have to focus more on like the positives. I mean, just focusing on the negative all the time is just going to create more negative things that happen to you.
Mm.
When I started like being more positive, crazy how this works out, more positive things start happening to you.
Whoa.
Whoa, crazy concept, I know. Um, like I'm a big believer in some might call this prayer, but I call it manifestation. Where
Mm.
like if you manifest like things that you want, ultimately they don't. I want to fly. And I go, okay, sure, keep manifesting that all you want, buddy. It's like I want like for when my car broke down, and it's like I want to be able to have enough money to get this fixed, blah blah, blah. And then my tax return came in. There, goodbye to that. But I mean, like certain things where I'm like, I keep and like some like Christians be like, here's your sign from God. He's looking out for you, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, that's because I did X, Y, and Z to get like all this money back. But that's besides the point. Um, but manifesting positive energy instead of negative energy, karma or whatever. We can do a whole episode on that because that's found in different religions as well, where it's like, whatever you put out is what you're going to receive.
Retribution theology.
Yeah.
Ancient
I mean,
wisdom literature loves that stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's like, some stuff that sounds like a bunch of woohoo nonsense, but like when you really start like living it, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is pretty accurate. It's like if I continue to do positive things and be positive and have a positive mindset, positive things ultimately will end up happening and coming to me. I mean, slowly, sure, sometimes painfully slowly, and maybe not in the way that you thought it would.
Mm.
But I mean, if you keep putting that out, sure. But like me being like, don't even
No.
talk to me. Same with like Trump supporters too. Like people tell me they're a Trump supporter, and I'm just like ultimately like the initial instinct to be like, I don't want to talk to you. Don't even want to listen to anything you have to say. But it's like you said, why do you believe that? Why do you think this way? Once you start asking those questions and like not cutting someone off or being like, you're wrong, and you're genuinely just listening to them like how we do to each other, like ultimately like you're gonna have a better experience in life
Yeah.
in general, just life. Like you want to live. There's a song lyric that I love from a band that I love, Sonata Arctica, and it's really funny because like a lot of power metal is very cheesy. It's so cheesy, but that's what I love about it. And they have a lyric where it's like a life is better alive. It's a dumb thing to say, but it's true. And I remember hearing it for the first time, and I was like, that is so stupid, but it's so true. Because for so long, I was in this state of I'm alive, but not really. Like, I'm not like suffering. I guess like that whole like there's no point. This is all a bunch of nonsense. We're all living just to die for eternity. Like going through that spiral. Like there's no point to any of this. And I didn't really like that. Like I went through my phase of I left Christianity. I studied Satanism. I studied paganism, specifically Wicca, and I went through the what's it called when you believe that there's no point to living. There's no point to any of this. It has a specific name, and I can't even think of it right now.
Yeah.
But that's where I was at.
Mm.
I was like, "There's no point." I'm just angry. So I found it to be better. I kind of find myself being like how I said earlier. Well, maybe there's truth. There's truth to be found in almost anything. Like I'd rather look at it like that because I'm like, if there's nothing after this, it kind of sounds a little sad. I don't know. Kind of sounds a little like. I mean, yeah, I guess if you believe nothing happens after this, I'm like. I don't know, like that sucks. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe reincarnation. I don't know. That sounds depending on what you believe. Like whatever. Like I said, that's a whole other thing. But like I don't know. Maybe we do get to just float around in space or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. But like I want it to be something. And I find it to be a little bit more easier to be like, maybe there is like a grand meaning and all of this instead of being like everything's pointless, everything's meaningless. There's no point, and I hate everything, and I hate everyone. It was negative, negative. Which brings me back to what I was originally saying, where I was like, why is it so like a big thing that I even stepped foot into a church? Because that's what my mindset was for so long. It takes a lot to be like, not that anyone's wrong for feeling that way, because I don't want to be like, oh, I was wrong, but no, to be that bigger person and to throw all that hatred behind you and
Mhm.
to be able to move forward in life and be like, I'm not gonna burn alive if I step foot into a church type thing, like it's okay, it's fine, and these people are nice to me and I have no reason to be rude to them back. Like there's no point. Like people came up to me like, wow, I really like how you're dressed. What am I supposed to say? You don't mean it. You don't like people like me. Like that's not right. But I was like that at one point,
Mhm.
and that's why it's such a big deal for me to even sit, for us to even sit like this.
Yeah, it's huge.
Because like when I make certain Facebook posts and I get like people like they'll just be like, because it's all nonsense. It's all blah blah blah. God's awful and he's this and he's that and there's so much negativity. And I'm trying to be a more positive person. I'm trying, like I always end it with like love is the answer, and I'm about to end it now with that, like love is the answer, not hate.
Mm.
Really, what that comes down to is it's a big thing for me to step foot into a church, even and to sit through a service and to critique it, I guess. But like that's not really what I was doing. It was just like I mean it is what I'm doing, but it's also like you would be maybe willing to like go with me to like a different event or whatever. But half those
Absolutely.
Christians in there, I bet you they wouldn't be willing to set foot out of their comfort zone. It's all about putting yourself out of your comfort zone. I feel like you learn a lot more that way when you
Yeah.
kind of get out of your own little bubble. Like I was stating earlier, like you learn more about life once you get out of your own little comfort zone. You just do. And I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh, you might have knowledge to drop on me. I don't want to hear it. 'Cause what do you gain from
Yeah.
that? You don't really gain anything from that. So
If anybody was interested in going into a church, like they haven't been in a while, and maybe that's where they're at, like, oh, my skin is gonna burn if I go in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's like I would invite you to go make that judgment yourself rather than have that preconceived idea and just sit in it.
Hmm.
Like maybe come to the church and ask questions, say how you truly feel, show that you're upset about something, like go there with your full emotions, however that might be, and see how the people respond to that.
Hmm.
Not just assume that, oh, I'm not welcome there, they're not going to like my
You
questions.
know what they say about assumptions,
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like it's really not even worth doing that. And who
Hmm.
knows, maybe we'll go to different churches in the future because remember we were talking
Yeah,
about finding LGBT
yeah, an affirming
affirming
church.
churches.
Yeah,
Like I mean, I've never been to one.
neither
So
have
what
I.
do I, how if you've never done something, how can you say no to it?
Hmm.
Like if I've never been in that environment, who am I to be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like,
I would definitely going to like an affirming church. I
mhm,
don't want to assume what that pastor believes or what
yeah,
they're teaching.
yeah.
Now, because I can study all I want about gay affirming theology,
Hmm.
which I have, and I'm doing a very like extensive course on it. However, I need to go for myself because even different churches they'll believe different things.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is he teaching, and why is he teaching, and where does he see in Scripture the things that he's saying? Like, I can't assume that I know. I need to go there and see for
Hmm.
myself and enter in discussion. And it's just as I would want someone to come to Coastal Christian, not assuming that they know how things are going to be, but go for yourself and experience it. Have
Like
the
I just did. I feel
conversations.
like I'm a very good example of that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, of course, I have like you know, my assumptions,
yeah.
and I already knew that that wasn't going to be the case going to this church based on like what you and multiple other people who go to that church have told me. And
Mm-hmm.
I've even met some interesting people at the end there. There was like a guy who came up to me and was like, yeah, I used to be uh part of like he believed in Odin and like that religion, and he was like, and this church is like been very accepting of me and how different I look, and I was like, yeah, I could get that vibe from you. He's just based on how you like you look alone. I was like, kindred spirits type thing, but like I appreciate that kind of stuff. Like like that's nice that people have found that community, and I'm not even a hater on that. I think it's great that people can find that community wherever you can find it and it's positive, good for
Yeah.
you. If you find it in like a hate-filled group, then maybe
Oh.
maybe not. But
Yeah.
wherever you find positive
Yeah.
community, I'm happy. Like I'm not. Why would I be mad at people living their lives the way that they seem fit and it's positive? Like there's positive impacts. Who am I to hate on that? And that's really where I'm trying to become like a better person. I always say I want to be better than the person I was yesterday. That's my goal in
Yeah.
life. So always become like a little bit better. Is to just be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or maybe I shouldn't have done that. What could I have done differently? Like reflection is very important. And I think that's important for all human beings, no matter what you believe in.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Journaling in therapy.
Woo!
It's good.
Everyone can benefit from
Yes.
therapy.
Please go.
And also just talking like this, just talking.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to get thoughts out of your head
Yeah.
and verbally say it.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone ever wants to do that with us, because I got
Yeah.
a lot of comments on my post the other day. I made a post where
I saw.
said, if you're
Yeah.
not a Christian, why? And boy, did I get a lot of responses. But
Mhm.
I was like, does anyone want to be on the podcast?
I know.
talking about it? Like sometimes it's better to just word vomit it out.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know.
always down. Like even for people who maybe they have a lot of strong things against Christianity where they're like, "Oh, I absolutely hate everything about it," and they're
Mhm.
angry or
Yeah.
whatever the case is, like I might not have anything good to say, like I don't have the magic answer to everything,
Yeah.
but like I'm always down to listen. Like you
And
could
I think
bring
that's
your
important.
hate and your anger or whatever your feelings. Like I want to hear the true authentic feelings that somebody has.
Yeah.
Like don't water it down for me. Like
Mhm.
tell me how you really feel in all of that.
Like I always like to say, like, your feelings are valid.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we or anyone to tell you how you feel is wrong?
Yeah.
Like that's not right. And I mean, there are certain people out there from both sides who would be more than willing to tell you what you feel is wrong.
Mm.
That's not what we're trying to bring here.
No.
We're trying to bring understanding and bridging that gap between the two differences. I mean, multiple differences, but for us, it's two. And just people can get along. Like, it doesn't have to be so hate filled. This world is hate filled enough as it is. Do we really want to bring more hate into this hate filled world?
Mm.
No. What can we do to make a positive difference? I'm very big on like, what action can you take to make the world a better place? Now, I'm not expecting anyone to be like, I'm going to go save the world, but like, what can you do to spread some type of positivity today? Like, did you do anything like that? It doesn't even have to be like I spread positivity to another person. Did you do anything positive for yourself?
Mm.
Like just bring out
Yeah.
positivity and love. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
As always. And you know what? Maybe that's what Jesus taught. I don't know. Like, and I can get behind that. So, like I said, I'm not even here to be like it's all a bunch of nonsense because I feel like there's truth to be found in most things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be found in, not that it's all true,
Yeah, yeah.
but there's truth to be
Yes.
found.
Well, we had a good Holy Week. We talked a lot,
Yeah.
got a lot of episodes out.
Oh yeah, look at us go.
And
I can't say it'll always be like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't expect that all the time.
We might
Okay.
take a pause
Yeah.
after this so that way we can do some restructuring, get better equipment.
Yeah, get some more guests lined
Yeah,
up.
we got to
and,
plan what we're going to talk
what
about.
episodes we want to go through.
So we'll take maybe a little bit of a break
Yeah.
so we can do that restructuring so that way we can make better quality content.
Yes.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes,
Take
thank
care,
you.
and we will see you on the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.